Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Scale with Joy show. I met Karen Smith on Clubhouse and we hit it off right away. Today, we're going to be talking about her genius as she is the founder of the Signature Business Revolution. But let me tell you a little something about Karen. She has been there, done that when it comes to all things business. She has owned software companies, SaaS. She's been around the block when it comes to building all sorts of different businesses. As we were chatting in the green room before we got started, I found out that she is a ice cream shop connoisseur going way back. But she's been in brick and mortar. She's been in software. And today we're going to be talking about developing a signature a signature program and method for your business. Welcome, Karen. So glad you're here.
Hey, it's good to be here and finally talk with each other rather than how we wonderfully met on Clubhouse a few months ago.
I know, and see each other, right? Like actually be able to connect. So if you're watching the YouTube right now, you're seeing us smiling at each other. If you're listening to the podcast, you just found out what's happening behind the scenes. So Karen, you have this incredible knack for helping people come up with their signature framework. And how do you go about that? So people have all sorts of amazing things happening in their brain, and you have this way of like breaking it down and packaging it up to make other people want it more. Like how does that happen?
All right. So we actually, of course, have a framework for this and a methodology. So what Laura did, we were chatting about all the things I've done, but I started really young, like in my diapers. I'm kidding. I started at 16 and I ran a 6-week workshop and I had to figure out how to deliver this workshop that people would drive to my house every week. It wasn't just like we have now where people could just click a button and show up on Zoom. I had to get them motivated enough to get there every week. And I lived in the Caribbean, so it was pretty hot. And they would do the work and they would come back. And so I could get 100% completion rate because that way they told all their friends and my workshops always stayed full. So I had this unique little system that I would do day by day, and I would just be repeating it on clockwork. And I was known for that. I called it at a frivolous time, my nickname from high school, because why not? I was going to high school and it was the Phys Creative Workshop, and it became the name I was known for. And we stood out as the #1 place to go get certified. Yes, at 16, I certified these adults dressed in mom's clothes, how to become textile designers. So I had my little methodology on how to earn this certification. So that is how my little, my world began. So the signature method really is, and why that started is actually kind of ties into what I'm saying is we all have like a calling, those who listen to podcasts like this. I want to get the 7 or 8 figure business. It's a calling to do something. It's a calling because you see a problem in the world that you want solved. At the time, the problem I wanted to solve was to get to med school. And I took one step towards that by painting t-shirts. Then I figured out the people who were teaching how to paint t-shirts were making way more money than I was in a lot less time. So I did that. And I started to do what? Scale. I didn't know the term then. I didn't know what copywriting was, but I started scaling. So I saw a problem that I needed to solve, which was people wanted to learn better ways to be textile designers. We actually had a recession. We had a dip in the economy. Sound familiar? And so people were trying to start home businesses, just like the online world is blowing up now after COVID. So I saw a problem. It's like people could start doing this from home like I do. So I taught my gift. I packaged it into a methodology and I taught it over 6 weeks. So it starts with the vision. The vision is the visionary, right? That's why some of us call ourselves visionary. I see a vision, I see a need, I see a problem and a pain. People have a problem, they need more income. And I found a what. The what was the workshop I delivered. Okay. After that, we have a why. My why then was I actually just wanted to get to med school. Your why could be whatever takes you to the next door you need to open. That's where your value. People chose me out of all the other classified ads of the other newspapers because my why was more powerful to them. And then after we use our strength, which is what I knew how to do. I knew how to design textiles. I had a skill. I had a strength. I now had a mission. If I taught this amount of classes with this amount of people, I could hit my 100K goal and get into med school. So your mission, your purpose, which is your why and values, and that vision all come together with filling that first thing, that need where you use your strength to fill something, and now we package it into your unique methodology so somebody can raise their hand and say, wow, I want to learn how to do what you do. So that's a very loaded answer to a question, but it's a good question.
Yeah, so that's so interesting. So let's say that somebody's listening and they have a pretty successful business. They're an expert, there's somebody who's a course creator, community builder, any type of online service provider. And why would I, at this point, I mean, I'm doing pretty well, right? Like I'm cooking along. And I might even have a 7-figure business or multi-7-figure business. At this point, why would I think about having my own signature framework? Why would I want to put that into place, and how could it benefit my business?
I love this question so much. Here's the thing, we solved the problem, right? So we set out, visionary Christopher Columbus, oh, the world is round, it's not flat. Oh, I have this new idea. However, it catches on. Now everybody's discovering new land. Everybody's doing it, right? When the iPhone first came out, it was, I just want an iPhone, but now I want a smartphone that does this, that does that, right? So what happens is when we have this great idea and this thing that's functioning, the market starts to get crowded. It starts to get noisy. And the new question for the person who is, and we call this the levels of awareness. There's people who are unaware that I need you, or I need the keto diet. I just need to lose weight. Oh, there's the keto diet. Oh, but everybody's teaching the keto. I need keto plus bulletproof coffee plus butter. That, so as we get, that is where the unique mechanisms come in, a unique methodology. Right now we have our phones, right? And you need something that's going to make your perfect person stop the scroll right away. The best way to do that is with a visual methodology that solves their problem in the 3 seconds that you've got their attention for. You also have more, we have more noise online now, and you want to let your people know that they can trust that you can get them the results. A signature methodology tells people that you have a path that they can follow. Right now, people more than ever want to trust not just you, because your methodology is going to say, hey, I'm putting my stake in the ground. I've got a path. I can make it in a visual framework that you can see it and connect to it in an instant. But what else do they need? They need a step-by-step. Why? The number one reason and the biggest hurdle you've got to overcome is the belief in themselves that they can do it. That's the beautiful thing about setting up that path. And you're also setting up yourself as an instant authority in that minute, in that moment. And you're saying that this method is unique to me, just like your fingerprint is, just like your perspective is, just like your story is. No one else has that packaging. And you're saying, this is my stake in the ground. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. And this is how, more importantly, I can take you there to the result that you need.
That's so cool. And I know you've studied an equal amount of business and brain science, which is one of my most favorite things about you. And so when we are thinking about this signature process, is there any component of the brain science that comes into play that makes it a more compelling offer when you have a signature system?
Well, that's interesting. So the brain science in the signature method is really just getting out of your own way and stop looking at what other people are doing. Like I mentioned before, the easy market, and really come within, because the fact is you do have something different about you. That's one of the reasons we've got 10 of these guys on our fingertips, is we have unique fingerprints. And the more we look within, rather than trying to we getting stuck in comparitis, I call it, where we start comparing ourselves to others. That's where we actually won't stand out. We end up being a copy, or try to be another voice that matches somebody else. The world doesn't need more of anybody else. The world needs you. Right. And really what we need to do is focus on what that unique genius is, where we did have those pitfalls and that resiliency to rise again. What were the steps that we took? We have to focus that we do have what it takes inside. What is calling, what we want to create also is seeking us, and it's up to us to get ourselves out of the way and move in towards that goal of unpacking that. Find a mentor if you need. It's what we do. Laura, you've had amazing mentors, and circles of friends like Laura and I are, like with people that will help you see yourself even in those dark times when you don't, to keep moving forward. Increased competency will increase your mindset. So it's really a matter of continuing to move forward on the external, but also the internal. We've got to rewire ourselves to believe that we are going in the right way, even in spite of external circumstances, because your current environment isn't the environment that is going to get you to the next level.
Right.
Let that sink in. And we've got to
Right.
rewire that from within. It's the one reason why 95% of lottery winners will lose all their money and even go into debt within 3 to 5 years, because
Right.
they didn't rewire the internal to match the external. And practice makes permanent in the brain. Not perfect. Forget about being perfect. But practice makes permanent. What that means is we're building new neural networks, so that what do we build when we do that? We build a new system of belief in ourselves that we can do it. And then when we show that increased competency, people get that from you when you speak. People buy from purposeful brands, purposeful people, more than anybody else. Like, I don't know the statistic, but that is what's selling right now. Your confidence, your purpose, your belief in yourself instills that belief in them to buy from you and to let you lead them.
I love that. Yeah, it's so interesting, the little tricks that our brains do, right? I explain this to my team often. I'll say, like, when you sit down to do the big thing that you were set out to do that day, like, your brain's not going to want to do it. Your brain's going to want to sit on the couch, if you're like my brain, and watch HGTV and eat chocolate ice cream. Like, that's what your brain wants to do. It doesn't actually want to write the SOP. Right. And so, like, what is that about? Like, why do our brains do this to ourselves? Why do we want, we know that our future is best served by something today that our brain seems to be fighting us against? What is that about, Karen? Tell me.
So honestly, your brain is not built to align you with your vision.
Interesting.
Your brain is built to protect you from anything it does not know. And when we're stepping into this new world, we're building this dream, guess what the brain's going to say? You can't survive this. I don't have a record of this. And it goes bonkers.
Might as well have some chocolate ice cream, girl.
Exactly. That's where we hear all the negative talk. We hear all the negative things. I got this. My mom told me this. And my friend, like, I can't do it. It will remind you of all the reasons why, that it will try to validate all the things that will keep you safe. Your brain is a survival mechanism. Its purpose is to look around and say, safe, stand back, hold back, I'm going to protect you. A healthy brain is actually going to fight you from moving towards heart, as I call it, which is why I actually study biofeedback too. I don't know if you know that, but I'm trained in biofeedback, and I've actually worked with the leading scientists at HeartMath Institute to understand what it looks like to reconnect the brain with the heart. When the heart is open and we're in that purposeful energy, it actually bypasses the subconscious mind and goes back to the prefrontal cortex and lights up those ideas and tells your subconscious mind, shh, shut up.
That's it.
It's why really getting in line with your vision, that's why I think I'm not a vision board person, but I think it's why they work. It's why those reminders of the thing we work. Why comes from the heart. It's reminding ourselves why. We tell our clients every day when they get stuck, we give them an exercise where they write a letter to themselves from the person whose life they've changed, if they don't have one already.
Oh, that's a cool hack.
Yeah, and they read it every day, have to read it every day before they come to our hot seats or anything, so that they're ready, because I give some serious coaching and they have to be ready and open to take action on it. So I'm not fighting me on it. So when we remind ourselves of the why, and that we do have a purpose and we do have a gift and we are capable of doing the thing that we want to do, that can actually fight the 9-to-1 ratio of the brain. The 9, unfortunately, being negative, because your brain needs to tell you when it's danger. So it's actually wired to see negative more than positive. 9-to-1. It is up to us to actually take charge of it and remind our lovely brain, our healthy brain, that we are going to be okay. We're going to be fine. And this is what I want to do. So we actually have to retrain ourselves and our brains to work with us in alignment with our desires and really feed it and strengthen that new muscle. We just really have to literally rewire it. And I'm a geek and I've studied neuroscience and I do map brains, right? So I've actually seen under microscope certain types, I'm going to use that word for now, where the brain does grow new cells when it's learning a new memory.
Oh, interesting.
So we actually have to retrain our brain into new memory. And that memory, the brain doesn't know if it's a future or a past. So when you read that letter to the brain, it is true. It is happening right now. So it starts to form that connection to the lives you're going to change when you create the signature program, when you put yourself out there, when you let go of all of that fear and resistance the brain is going to throw at you. And that's all it is. It's nothing's wrong with you. It's not a failure, which is a word we have to repurpose as well into feedback, not failure, because entrepreneurs, as you know, Laura, we fall flat on our tail sometimes, right?
Yeah. It's so funny. All of those little thoughts made me think of what I say to my kids when they use potty language, which is zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. So I guess we just need to say that to our brain when it's trying to keep us safe, right? Zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket, that potty language. So are there other things that you recommend that people who want to prioritize the one positive thought or the one visionary thought versus the 9 thoughts that are just designed to keep us safe? Like, are there other ways in which we can structure our morning or our day that will keep us moving in the forward direction of our dreams instead of backwards trying to keep us safe?
So I don't know how you know to ask me this, because it's the favorite thing I love to talk about, is that little window of between worlds I talk about. When you're waking up, your brain is back to that sponge-like state. When we are like between 2 and 7, that's when all of these negative thoughts get quote unquote wired into our brain, because that's when the brain is still a sponge. But guess what? It gets a little spongy when you're just waking up, just for a hypothetical term to make it easy. And that's when we get to seed our brain and rewire it to that 9 to 1 bias in our favor, in our future's favor. So like I spoke to, one of my dear friends is Dr. Jeffrey Fannin, who I just did a podcast with. And he is the neuroscientist. He does brain scanning for Dr. Joe Dispenza. And on his podcast, I said, I have this hack that I have a sign up on my right by where I wake up on the wall across from my bed that says, "Good morning, Karen. Your thoughts create your day. Use them now." So before my brain has a chance to take me where it wants to go, like all the things I didn't get done, that person that annoyed me yesterday, or this new employee is driving me nuts, or
the travel plans that you've been putting off for 2 weeks because you've been meaning to hire the EA. I mean, not that anybody's looking over my shoulder right now, but that's my reality. Yeah. So go ahead.
Right. All the things. Before my brain wires that into my future, I can direct it into the thoughts I want to have. I want to create my day. I don't want yesterday creating my day. I want to create it. So I have that sign, literally, it's on my wall as a reminder to, I was going down the loop. I catch myself and I start seeding it with what I want to believe. Another secret is that getting into the heart is your values. So have your values, your 3 top or your 5 top values. Integrity, purpose, caring, love, whatever it is, right? Have that right where you brush your teeth at night or in the morning or on the door, your refrigerator, wherever you see that. If you want to have that also near your bed, remind yourself of who you truly are. I don't know if you know this, we had a project called Your Best Love Yet, helping single successful women over 40 rewire themselves to find true love, because we tend to not do that as single success. There's a lot of single successful women that don't have that much luck in relationships, because the thing that powered us to be successful actually is a downfall in intimacy. And so we taught them in an 8-week program, Your Best Love Yet. Don't do it anymore, so don't look for it. And we had a 97% completion rate. The lives we changed because they had to literally rewire themselves and remind themselves how worthy they were, how valuable they were. And this little exercise of reminding themselves first thing in the morning of their values really made them explode. Of course, a lot of them started businesses and all kinds of cool things after, but that is one of the reasons that it rewires us, because our values are what we forget when the mind takes over and scares us into believing that we have to hide who we truly are from the world, or be like someone else, or we're going to fail if we really step out, or that sort of thing. But the values start reminding us and rewiring into us the way we were born. Like when we were a kid, we didn't say, oh, look at all those tall people walking, I'm never going to be like them.
Right.
No, we got up and we walked, right? But then we layer ourselves with all these fears and other people's limiting beliefs. That's all it is an upper limit. And we use that limit to limit ourselves from moving forward. So reminding ourselves first thing in the morning of our values and re-embodying that, honestly, it works wonders, because you're getting into the heart of the matter early in the morning, and nothing powers the brain or that new neural network more than a positive emotion. Sorry about that. And so you want to get into the values, because that immediately triggers that positive emotion. Your brain's sitting down, and all of these chemicals, get the positive ones flowing early in the morning and get your state, because without that, you can't create. Now, you're not going to, the thing about all the things and tactics you need to run a business, honestly, I'm so glad we're talking about, I did not plan to talk so much about neuroscience and mindset, but it is the number one thing if we're really going to take ourselves from 100K to seven figures. And then again, it's a whole other story from 7 figures to 8 figures. So, which is our systems in the signature impact method, is really all the systems and tactics and the systematology that works to get people there. But the mindset is the number one block that will hold anybody back each time. You can hire the social media, you can hire somebody to write your webinar, you can get all your things on Canva, but if your mindset's not there, you won't take action in the direction that you need to go. So
it's so true. This is a great conversation. I have a couple more questions, and I want to let people know how to get in touch with you, because you have so much amazingness to offer. But I do, when you were talking about that 7 to 8 figure, that's where a lot of our listeners are. This is about very much a podcast about scaling and scaling joyfully. And I think part of scaling joyfully is understanding that you are very normal if you are experiencing certain things at a certain level. And as we tend to go up in income, a lot of times we can feel like maybe we shouldn't be experiencing some of these challenges, or maybe those thoughts aren't normal and it's just us. So what do you think are some of the bigger things that come up once you get to that 7-figure and beyond range in terms of upper limits?
So most 7 figures, when people hit it, it is a lot going, there's so many things going on. It's my favorite client because they really have accomplished so much, but what gets you to 7 figures is going to kill you beyond. It's going to kill your business beyond, because we learn to step out on our own, to do things, to implement, to own our strengths, to do all these things. But from 7 to 8, it's actually about less doing and more of the visionary stuff and more leadership. And that is like, oh, why me? Am I going to really be able? What if I look like a fool in today's meeting? It's different things. And so it's really knowing that you're here, you made it. Now let's continue taking that one step in front of the other. The biggest thing is really how to navigate it's now understanding that it's the little things that move the big needles. And that's counterintuitive from everything that you've done. The hustle is done, the grind is done. You mean, if I just do this, I work more. And it's hard for most business owners to accept. Giving up control is the number one, I would say, sinker at not being able to give up control, is the number one killer at the 7 to 8 figure mark, because it is about scaling. It is about delegation. It is about hiring people. Sometimes, most times, if you're smarter than you. And and more risk and be more open and more vulnerable at that stage. So I would think that is it. And get among people who get that about you and get the different pain. The 7-figure, when you're just crossing 6 figures to 7 figures, it's a different level of pain and questions you're going to have than closer to that 8-figure mark by far.
So, what would you say is the secret, do you think, to managing your mind as you're scaling to the multi-million dollar mark and beyond?
No one else can think your thoughts for you.
No, isn't that true? Isn't that true? Don't we all just think everybody's a big old mind reader?
I just remember that every day, and it's just so thing is you've got to take control of your thoughts, because if you let those thoughts hook you in a direction that you don't want, you now have the responsibility of your team's paychecks on coming up with that next visionary. And you've got to be okay with the vulnerability that comes with sometimes you're going to fail and sometimes you're going to be screwing it up. And that's okay. And you have to become okay with that. Because here's the thing about successful people at 8 figures: when they bounce back, they really bounce back because they're learners. And it's really about having that growth mindset and really expanding and just knowing nobody else can think your thoughts for you. Your business is going to outgrow you every step of the way. And it's really a matter of you now retraining yourself, you're retraining your mind to keep up with it. And that's it. If you're doing it right, it will outgrow you. It's going to feel uncomfortable, and just keep up with it because you're going to grow. I always say, be the change. Your business really makes you become the change you want to make in the world. And it's a true thing.
Oh, that's so true. That's a great thought to end on. I love that.
Yeah.
So if people are wanting to learn about how to create their signature system, if they would like to be mentored by you, somebody who has this incredible experience in the areas of biofeedback and brain science, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
We call it holistic marketing. You can find me at signatureprogram.com/Laura. We actually have lots of really great information there. Signatureprogram.com. It's really easy. /Laura will also get you a little extra bonus perk from me. So you want to use that, but definitely you will find me there. We have the best free training online. Most people say that is much better than the last $10,000 they've spent, because we've been doing this between my husband and I for many, many decades, right? So, so you're going to get all of those free goodies there, and hopefully come out with the most amazing standout in your marketplace signature program. So I'll see you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.